Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, we're back. We are trying this again. So hopefully it's now popping up. Alan is live again. I'm just seeing there's a few notifications. We've got an unhappy face from Emily. Emily, hopefully, oh wait there. Emily Jane commented. Let me bring that up. Can't see anything. Oh, that's the first one, Emily. Sorry, we're back. Apologies. What we're going to do, we're going to carry on.
Yeah.
Hopefully, everyone will now see this second video.
Hopefully. Just to recap what was in the first video. Hi, whoever's popped on. It's Emily again. Can you see us now, Emily? If you can see us, give us a little thumbs up, smiley face.
Yes, I'm in.
Lovely, fab. We've had a few problems with a few people in different groups having this. I don't know if it's a Facebook issue or it's just tech.
Well, you never know. Anyway, who cares?
So firstly, what we did in the last video, we did this. Cheers.
I gave Emily that as a present.
Alan gave me a potato.
Which was to do with Belinda Clark last night.
And I said that anyone else who gave me a potato, what's that, Alan? Oh, that's fun. Anyone else who would give me a potato, I think, what a weirdo. Then I look at Alan and the shirt and everything else, and I think, well, actually, it's kind of part and parcel of who he is. So
yes. But it was a joke. We then talked about Belinda last night, who we thought was fab, and if we were going to get married again or renew our vows, we would happily have Belinda. Never met her before. First time we seen her,
she was great.
We thought she was fab, and if you were having her, if you wanted a celebrant, then we think she was fab. Yeah, so go and watch that. That's on the group and in YouTube.
Which then brought us to, God, this is like in speed. Maybe we should do this every single.
Yes.
That was the first time that we've ever handed over the outside bride to an external person so far, and we wondered what people thought of it, if people enjoyed it, if you would like to see more of that kind of stuff. Let us know, because we have a wealth of suppliers who would be really happy to come out and chat to you. So if you've got topics that you want someone specific to come and talk to you, let us know and we can reel someone in, can't we?
Yeah, we can. It might be if someone just wants a bit of marquee input or anything, doesn't it? I mean, Emily and I generally have an opinion or some thoughts about most things, so we can talk about most of it.
Yeah.
But every now and then, like a celebrant, to be honest. Yeah, had thoughts, but really they needed to deliver that part, didn't they? So luckily they did. What else? Weren't you going to talk about the blog post you've been writing?
I've been writing a blog this week to go on the website, which I promise you will be live at the end of this week. I promise. Life has... I know.
I think you made this promise about 2 weeks ago.
I did.
I think you owe everyone an apology.
I offer the entire universe and everyone in this group a sincere apology. I got a little bit delayed with everything else I was doing with the business and everything else, and work and babies, and I didn't.
I'm just saying it's very laggy, and we're not convinced it's actually our end. We think this may be a Facebook issue, because this is not the first. We're not the first people we know this has happened to in the past day or so. But apologies. It's mine's kind of streaming okay, so I don't know.
No. Anyhow, has anybody got anything to ask us this evening?
Oh yes, Emily Jane says feeding people twice in the day. Outside caterers feeding people twice in the day goes my outside caterers feeding suppliers during the day.
Right. So from that little bit of snippet we've got, are you talking about when should you feed a group of people twice in the day, and what to feed them? Is that what you mean by outside suppliers?
Is that your guests?
Yes. And your suppliers. Is that right? So we've got 3 separate questions in that. Now, the first one, we'll take it in 3 parts. The first one, feeding people twice in the day, is completely up to you, depending on the type of food and what time of day you're serving.
Yeah, well, feeding's a bit broad as well, isn't it? I mean, because if you were going to do the wedding breakfast, that doesn't mean in the evening you have to have another sit-down meal or a hog roast. It could just be, pardon me, a cheese table. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for burping on camera. I've just been drinking.
I would suggest, it depends on the day. So if you're getting a service at, what's that? Yeah.
Yes.
If you're getting married around 12:30, you've got to think about your timings throughout the day. So if it's a 12:30 ceremony, you're going to get hungry guests and stuff. So if you do canapes or anything like that, that's usually an hour and a half after your ceremony. Sit down for I would say if you're having a 12:30 ceremony, would be around 4ish, I reckon, once you've done your welcome drinks, got to your said location, done canapes and that kind of stuff. So 4 o'clock for sit down. You may or may not want to do an evening buffet. If you're a bit later than that, your timings go between 4 and 6. You might just want to do bacon rolls. You might want to get a cheese ball on the go. It also depends whether you're going to have all day guests and some evening guests, or all day guests throughout the entire thing. It really completely depends on your timings for your day, really. Emily, what time of day are you getting married? If you can type, or we can see us, I don't know.
Well, we keep going until the answer pops up.
There is absolute shed loads of options for outdoor caterers, and again, it depends on. Actually, can you also let us know in that message what kind of venue you're having for your ceremony or your
I mean,
venue?
you're out if you want to have hot food in the evening. I would fully expect your caterers, your main caterers, to accommodate that as well. If thank you, Charlotte, and to you. She's wishing us Happy Valentines Day.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd fully expect your caterers to be able to cope with the evening if that's what you wanted as well. I mean, something like bacon and sausage baps. I knew it's the sausage rolls, but that's confusing. Sausage in a bap. You know, that's really not. They would probably cook that at the same time and then wrap it up and keep it warm.
Yeah.
Not perfect, but you know, that's the kind of world it is. But generally speaking, I've never been to a wedding where people aren't hungry in the evening. And the other thing about food in the evening is your evening guests.
That's what I said. If you have evening guests or not. It completely depends on you and your budget. I mean, if you're keeping one supplier in, I mean, I hate to always draw back to our wedding. With our wedding, we had our caterers in for the day, and we had 5 or 6 staff in with our caterers, didn't we? And what they did for their evening, to save us on cost, they suggested just keeping 1 or 2 people behind and the rest of their team going home after they've served the main course and the main sit down meal, and they just left 1 chef and 1 server in the evening, and we did bacon rolls and things like that, and that way you can reduce your costs. You don't even need as much space and stuff, and they can put things in like hot chafer dishes and stuff and keep them warm.
Bain-maries.
Bain-maries, not darling, no.
What's a bain-marie?
Isn't that what you put water bath type thing, isn't it?
To keep food hot in.
Oh, whatever.
I accept your public
but
apology.
The third part of your question.
Anne just shared a top tip about this in a moment as well.
The third part of your question with regards to your suppliers and food, you don't have to serve them the same food as you're eating. It's always jolly nice to give them something, especially if it's like your photographer's there for the entire day, they're there from your setup to right through to the
and you generally have that relationship with the photographer that you will end up,
majority of suppliers will stipulate in their terms and conditions whether they require feeding or not, and most photographers would put that in their terms and conditions, that they need to have some sort of meal, but that doesn't need to be at a table, that doesn't need to be the same per head cost as what you're giving your guests. It can be just a sarnie and a packet of Christmas and fruit, and they can eat it in the back where the caterers are if you've got like a catering marquee at the back. So again, look at your terms and conditions, look at how many suppliers, make sure you just water them. I think a lot of them just much happier if they've got water throughout the day and liquids and stuff. If it's a hot sunny day, just be a bit courteous, really. Although they're working, it's just nice.
Anne just said we had about 150 guests total in the evening. We only catered for 50 as the day guests were still full and too busy partying to eat. Yeah. And the other thing is, don't forget, you'll have cake floating about. There could be leftovers from the day, depending on what it is. If it's a hog roast during the day, for argument's sake, there still might be crackling and pork and bread rolls, whatever. If it's that sort of meal or desserts floating around or whatnot.
Yeah, I totally wouldn't have catered for the entire 150.
Yeah, you might want to do a sweetie cart in the evening, and then once again, that's that fixed cost rather than trying to work out how many heads. And sweetie cart, with Costco and all these other shops in place nowadays, a DIY sweetie cart is so simple, and it's a proper mums like to do it if they get it. They do, don't they? Like mothers of the bride, mothers of the groom, or that's the sort of thing they will love, or Aunt Mabel type thing. So I just think, don't get pigeonholed into having 2 lots of food for everyone. Because actually there's so much that can be done.
And once everyone's had a few drinks, they really...
And that's what Andrew said, once everyone's had a few drinks, and that's very, very true. Yes.
Anything else from anyone?
Any other questions?
Good
Otherwise,
question, Emily.
Yes, thanks, Emily.
I don't know if there's a delay again.
No. So we can go back to something Emily was promising. What were you promising that was going to be live by the end of the week?
The website will be live ending this week.
In her defence, she's been uploading blogs and making them look pretty and putting some adverts for suppliers on there. And you have been working quite hard on it. We just had a couple of technical issues.
Some things were out of my control. We
Yes.
have a web designer who lives in America, so things that I was asking were taking a little bit of time to get down through the system. That's right in front of my face.
I'm sorry.
So that the website will be live, I promise, and then we can all share the outside bride love to near and far. And the Instagram is now live. We've been posting on that, which is kind of cool, and the Pinterest board will be live, I promise.
Yes. I think I'd like to share some tidbits. I want to talk about photographers for a moment. I think we've mentioned photographers before, but I just... Dave's got a question from me. Dave, yes, let's hear it. I know Dave, so it's going to be funny. Whilst Dave's typing his question, Dave Bailey. So, photographers, in our opinion, never scrimp on a photographer. If you've got a mate who's very, very good, then fantastic, take them on board, brilliant. But out of everything in your wedding, thanks Dave, no, we won't be introducing Yama to the outside bride family. But everything in your wedding, the photographer is the pictures that you're going to look back in the future when you look back. So whatever you do, don't scrimp on photographer. Really look at many different styles of photographer. Go onto the websites, look at their pictures, seek recommendations. Go and visit wedding fairs because they'll have their style out for display, and really start there.
And I think because the prices can be so varied, and we discussed this with the Jenny Owen video on the Baby Meets a few weeks ago. If you're looking at the cost and it is a budget kind of cost saving exercise, still be driven on the style of the photographer over everything else, because things like and Jenny's going to kill me for watching it, what I say, photo books and all that kind of stuff, although they're pretty and they're expensive, they're things that can be cut. The actual photographer's style and how they capture your day and the reportage style and all of that.
Can we say they're a nicety rather than they can be cut? They
can be added at a later date, can't they?
Very true.
Once the photos are taken, that's with you forever. You can get the USB stick and you can upload them later on. You can get those books created at any date after the wedding. The important thing, I think, is making sure you get the right photographer for the right couple to get the right style and to capture your day in the right light. So don't be driven by the overall package costs. Really do look at those photographers and what they can offer you in terms of their style, and then look at the price afterwards, in my opinion.
Yes. And one last one, because I don't want this to take on too long, is I was in another wedding forum and someone was seeking thoughts on should they bother with a videographer.
Right.
What's your thoughts?
Oh, if there's anyone here...
Well, no.
I think they're brilliant, and I think again...
no, it was no one on here. It was in a completely separate forum.
Things have changed a lot in technology, and even about the last couple of years since we've got married to now, the technology's changed so much. I think they are just as lovely to capture your special day as a photographer is, and actually some photographers offer a bolt-on packages and they do a bit of both. If you don't want to go down the videographer route, you can always just ask people throughout the day to have cameras and stuff and to film it and do like snapshots so you can put it all together.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think weddings are that special. The opportunity of a video is amazing. Yeah. I agree with the advance in technology. When you think about HD and 4K and all of it, everyone's iPhone's got a high def on it. The quality of your video now hold on, look at the quality from our wedding 5 years ago. The quality is phenomenal. However, like Emily said, that photographers can do little bolt-ons. I actually think a 5-minute montage is probably fine,
Yeah.
rather than watching 25 minutes of Uncle Peter dancing.
I'm actually a bit
hammered.
funny about video. It's all very well looking back on videos and photos and stuff, but actually sometimes what's in your head is much more important.
That's why I think a montage might work.
Yeah.
But it's opinion, guys. It's absolutely opinion.
I think the memories you create in your head, rather than having to replay, like you said, every speech and every moment of that, definitely.
Dave Bailey here has killed the conversation for everyone with his in-joke about Yammer.
Okay.
David, we're to be taking this up with you offline. Right.
So anyway, the last thing I've been doing this week, because we haven't had as many questions, is I have been writing a blog, which will be on the website that goes live at the end of the week, on 10 top tips to create an eco-friendly wedding. I think it's quite interesting on this time. Everyone's very plastic savvy and, not using things that don't biodegrade. So I've put together a top 10 tips to make your wedding without being too green and too kind of like, dreadlocks and whatever. It's very much. I know I've been reading it as really blanket. I'm really sorry.
That was horrific.
I've had 2 glasses of champagne and that's me done.
Okay, well I'm on Prosecco, so where are you getting your champagne from?
But it's the top tips in terms of plastic over glass over plastic, and sourcing your materials and stuff for your day, for your decorations in very clever ways. So that should be an interesting read.
Emily Jane, okay, also wondering about water supply. Our bar has asked, we have toilets and generators, but have we missed something?
So Emily, you didn't, I don't know if you did say or not, or you've missed it. Whereabouts is your reception? What are you having for your reception? Are you in a field?
Well, it doesn't matter. Well,
it does. No, it does.
It would. First up, we'd see if there was a water supply in the field.
Yeah.
So if it's a field, a campsite, a back garden, a green space next to a building, then I would look at running a hose out. TP. I'd look at running a hose from the nearest tap, and that can be a simple bit of garden hose with a like garden squirter on the end of it.
If that's a private supplier, as in a landowner, they should be able to help source that for you. If you haven't got any access to any standing pipe in the field or any gardens at all, you're going to have to bring it in, and that's when it gets a bit complicated, but it's not.
Well,
it
depends how much you need, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
Because in Tesco's you can buy those 5 litre plastic bottles. No campsite, it's a great hall in East Sussex, Manor House nearby.
Right, so with a Manor House, there should be a water pipe somewhere on those grounds. I mean, if there's gardens and stuff, there will be a gardener who would be able to point them in the right direction, and you can get hosing and stuff put towards your teepee. And that I imagine you won't be the first teepee to be on that site to do it. So definitely ask the venue to get that put in for you. Like Alan said, if you haven't got access to water, and you have to go in with plastic bottles, and I know plastic's a bit funny, get the really, really, really large.
Yeah, they do 5 litres in Tesco's.
Bring them in, and we can put in some information. We have worked that out, how much you would need to bring in. But again, it's really the catering stuff can go back dirty. If you're bringing caterers in and you're using china, that can go back dirty to the caterers. And if you're hiring,
what sort of bar are you having that they want water? Just putting it out there.
No, our bar asked for water.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
And
they don't want champagne on a tap then. No.
But yes, things for drinking water for the tables, you can do that in pitchers and not in water, not in bottles and stuff, and that's always a bit better and greener for the world
definitely.
As well. And in regards to the bar might need access to water, but
they're going to want to wash.
They will want to rinse things and glasses, unless you're reusing glasses or using labels on your glasses to say that you need to reuse them. They might want to rinse some bits and bobs, but you won't need lots and lots of water for any kind of evening bar.
No, I think it is one of those things that you don't actually use as much water as you think you're going to use.
But it's good to have it.
It's definitely absolutely good to have it.
Just double check it's drinking water and it's perfectly fine to drink.
They should know. The venue should know. So definitely, she says thank you. She'll ask them.
That's fine.
Right, let's wrap up.
Because it's Valentine's Day.
It's Valentine's Day.
Should we go and snuggle on the sofa?
Yeah, we haven't snuggled in years. How did you make bins look good around the venue? We're going to keep this one short. It's a setup question. When you set up your teepees, you should have I would call a view area, which will be the front, and a working area, which is the back.
Yeah.
You would hopefully angle your TP towards the entrance and everything else nice, so that the working area was hidden and the view was nice and pretty. So anything like toilets, generators, bins should be out the back, so when your guests are walking in the front door and looking out, they don't see it. However, when they need to go to the loo or whatever, they would go out the side door past the bar, something like that, and go to them. Hopefully that helps. If otherwise, brush matting from a garden centre, wrap round a bin, something like that. But generally speaking, you'd have a working side of the marquee, which would be, or tent, which would be all plain, so people can't see through it, and the nice side, which would have windows and doors, etc., etc.
But make sure you put recycling and glassware separate.
Yes.
I'm being big on that now.
Yes, we are. Cool, come on, let's wrap up for tonight. Emily, thank you ever so much for your questions. And thank you. Yeah, well, I enjoyed it when it was me and the three Emilys. No, our pleasure, Emily. But thanks to everyone else for coming online tonight. Hope you enjoy your Valentine's Day. We're judging by how many names have popped up. We're not the only ones who aren't snuggling on the sofa. So thank you very much, and we look forward to speaking to you same time next week. Bye.
Bye. Cheers.
Bye. It's empty.
Oh, that sounds
Bye.